Hi, I'm Charlie Coppola, not only am I an award-winning tattoo artist and owner of Low Tide Tattoo, I'm also a keen multi-species angler. Over the coming year, I'm going to be taking my friends from studio to bank and to boat in search of the best the UK has to offer. From tattoos to tactics and inks to hook links, I am the Illustrated Angler. Good morning, or should I say good afternoon, and welcome to this episode of the Illustrated Angler. Today we're meant to be tattooing a good friend of mine, Barry Fisher, but due to the nature of Sunday traffic in the M25, he's not here yet. He will be here at some point and we will get what we need done today. But until then, I'm just going to quickly run you through how me and Barry actually met. Last year, as some of you may know, I won the Angling Direct King of the Catch competition in the carp category. The Predator section was won by Barry and we met each other through that really. We've spoken a lot via social media and got quite close, although we only actually met each other a couple of times. When the concept of the Illustrated Angler first came around, Barry was one of the first people that came to mind. He'd already sort of semi-approached me about getting a fishing-related tattoo, namely an eel. We've spoken about it, but nothing was really set in stone, so when I set this up, I contacted him and said, do you fancy coming down to Southend, getting this tattoo done, and me and you will go and do some eel fishing. I'd already had a lake sort of set up that I know holds eels, I know holds some quite special eels, but it's a very small, intimate lake that which you'll see later. And catching them isn't the easiest, but we're gonna I hope Barry turns up any time now. We could actually get started, get through the tattoo and get down the lake. Right, well, as you can see, Barry finally got here after a bit of a delay this morning, but we started now, we're doing the tattoos, that's all that matters. How's it feeling, dude? You alright? No major problems?
No.
Cool.
Very happy.
As I said earlier, me and Barry sort of met through social media and especially through the King of the Catch competition for Angling Direct. We'll talk a bit more about that later because realistically we want to get this tattoo done, get down the lake and get some fishing done. But eels are what we're here for, mate, aren't we?
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
really your thing, isn't it? It's your speciality.
That's my bag.
Yeah. Barry's caught a lot of eels, you know, and he's fairly well known for that fact. I've dabbled in the past myself, but by no means would I ever call myself any sort of type of specialist. I'm much more of a person, so I was just dropping in and out of things, a bit of a jack of all trades. But yeah, I think for now we'll just get cracking with the tattoo, and then we'll get down the lake, get something in the net for you.
Sounds good to me, mate.
Cool. Right, let's crack on then.
It's your weekly routine that bothers me. Before you hurt yourself, just leave. This ain't the end of me. All the things that I could be. This is the end of you. After all that we've been through. This ain't the end of me. All the things that I could be. This is the end of you. After all that we've been through.
Right, quick costume change and we got to the lake. Not been here too long and our intended quarry is already in the net. Not one of the real monsters we're after, we know they're in here, but it's a good start. Haven't even had the night yet. going to show you them quickly, get them back and get the rod straight back out because we're hoping for a big one. I had this one straight away, virtually. They're meant to be a little bit more docile than this now. And then, as we were sorting that one out, the other rod went, and we had this one, which is marginally bigger, not much. Like I said, it's not one of the real monsters we know are in here. Both fish completely different shapes, which is unusual from one water. Right, we'll get these back, rod straight back out, hopefully get a big one. Well, as you've seen, we've already had a little bit of action, a couple of small, reasonable eels already on the bank, which sets us up nicely for tonight. We've had a few takes as well, so as is the nature of eel fishing, you do miss a few. It's a bit of a quiet period now, a bit of a lull, so I'm just going to take a couple of minutes just to run you through the venue and how I came across it. The venue itself is Priory Park, just outside Southend, and it is a 1 acre park lake, and that is really it. There's not a lot of places for these fish to hide, so it does make a good venue for us and our purpose. I came across it a few years ago when I heard through the grapevine that carp anglers were catching a lot of big eels. Not really that interested in them, I wasn't putting like weights to them, but I'd seen a few photos and suspected there was some big fish. At the time, I was fresh to the lake, I didn't really know anyone, so I was only really allowed to fish the days, because it's members only for nights. I had a lot of eels, none to any real size, any sort of monstrous sizes that I know that are in here. And that was it really, I sort of forgot about it and moved on to other things. But today, we're back, I've sort of got a handle of the place, so who knows, hopefully tonight we'll get into one of the real big ones. Well, if we're looking a little bit bleary-eyed, it's for good reason. We've had a very busy night. I mean, at the time the action was manic and it was a struggle to keep a rod in the water. Unfortunately, it was one of those frustrating nights when we didn't connect with everything we had runs from. But we've got a few fish and we've got a few fish to show you. Again, similar to yesterday really, not the real big fish that we was after, but you can only catch what's in front of you, and we've caught some fish, so. Busy night, eh, mate?
Yeah, we've had sport, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've come to get runs.
Yeah.
Had a few fish, maybe a couple over £3, which is always the target.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's just good going. I mean, it got to the point where I had to go down to one rod in the end. Keeping 2 rods in the water was too much hard work. I needed to get some sleep. But even then, even with 1 rod, I was up maybe every 40 minutes, maybe even every half an hour. But you know, like I said, we've caught some fish. We're gonna drink our teas. We'll have a little sort out, and then we'll get back to you with some footage of the fish. Right, I've had a little bit of a gap between runs now, so let's take a couple of minutes just to talk about how me and Barry sort of came to meet and his history with eel fishing. I think we probably had spoken previous to it, but the majority of our sort of conversation was sort of based around the King of the Catch competition, which I won the carp category with, and Barry won the predator section with an eel, PB eel.
Yeah,
PB eel.
5'11".
Yeah. Barry is, I think he'd like to call himself a specialist angler, whereas I probably tend to sort of flip between from one fish to another, you would probably
Yeah,
say eels.
the last few years,
eels
eels
is
have
your
been my thing.
Yeah. And so let's start. Where did eel fishing start for you? What was the first time
My
you
first ever fish at 3 years old was an eel.
Oh, okay, right.
When I was about 10, it was a dying fish, a dying eel in the canal, which was just huge, probably 7 or 8 pound looking back. Then I went into match fishing when I was in the RAF for a few years. Come out the RAF, got into barbel fishing.
Yeah.
Met a friend through barbel fishing. He posted up a 4 pound plus eel one day, and that sort of reignited that passion from the child, and started eel fishing. It was about 4 or 5 years ago now.
And you've had some success, haven't you, mate? Really? Let's
Yeah,
be honest,
yeah,
you've
I've
had a
been
few
quite
good
lucky.
eels. Yeah, that's good going. I mean, as anyone within eel fishing knows, it's not an easy fish to target. Very frustrating, as we found out over the last
pull your hair out.
last little while. But yeah, you've had some results. So I think we can.
I've been first on a few waters and a filming boots.
Yeah, that's good. So we've got a few hours left yet. We're gonna get back on the rods, get some fresh bait on, try and get 1 or 2 more fish before we go. In a minute, we're gonna sit down and just run you through the rigs that me and Barry have been using to catch these fish. Right, I'm just going to really quickly run you through the 2 rigs that myself and Barry have been using to catch these fish. Probably 2 of the most well used and famous rigs within eel fishing. The one I'm using is the Dyson rig, and the one that Barry's using is the JS rig, or John City rig. Polar opposites in presentation. Barry's presenting his bait firmly on the deck. I'm bringing mine up in the water so the fish sort of come from below to take. So to quickly show you my setup, there's sort of 2 parts to this rig. You have the float section, which starts off with a run ring to a section of mono, a float stop and a bead, and a sliding sub float or sunk float, or however you'd want to describe them. Then to a swivel, a weak link piece of mono to your lead. With that, you would then pass your main line through the run ring to a bead, and your rig would be, or your hook length would be on the end of that. Now your hook length would depend on where you're fishing and the stock of the lake. If you are fishing a water where there's a lot of pike, you would use wire. If not, then you could get away with using a strong coated braid, like something like Quicksilver or Ton Up. And the idea with that is, when the lead hits the bottom, you pay out line, the float comes up off the bottom and suspends your rig however much you want to set it off the bottom of the lake bed. That way you know that your rig and your hook bait is completely clear of obstructions and is free to be sort of taken and run with. Barry's rig is similar in a way that it utilises a run ring to minimise resistance, which is very important when you're eel fishing. What you want looking for is a completely steady resistance. Any change in resistance and the fish is likely to eject the bait. So all it is basically a stem or a boom to your lead with a floating piece of polystyrene foam to pop up to your run ring, which your main line runs through to your end tackle, to your rig. And that is really as simple as it needs to be with eels, and any more complicated than that, you're only going to make your own life hard work. Simplicity really is the key.
Go.
Right, really quickly, we're just going to show you a few of the eels we've had in this session. we're going to try and pick up a couple of the better ones, but they're a little bit lively, and we've had a few escapees already. So this is probably,
The biggest,
I think that's one of the better ones. As you can see, we've got a few eels here, but this is only a real small percentage of what we've had, and an even smaller percentage of the amount of runs we've had. It's provided us with a great bit of sport. No real monsters, but that's the nature of fishing. Right, I'm going to get these back, get the rods in, and go home. Sounds good. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode and this series of The Illustrated Angler. Keep your eyes peeled though, because there's bigger and better things to come in the not so distant future.